Alright guys, today I'll be giving you my top 10 coasters at Canada's Wonderland. There's 18 in total here, so there's a lot to choose from. I think you guys know what the top of this list should consist of, but there's a lot of stuff to choose for the rest of the list. So I'll only be going over 10 coasters here, because quite frankly, there's a lot of kiddie coasters and weaker family coasters that I don't feel like going over right now. But with that being said, let's get into the top 10. Coming in at number 10 is the Bat. This is a traditional Vekoma boomerang. If you've been on one of these, you've been on them all pretty much, unless they have some sort of special feature like different restraints or different theming like speed of sound or remix. This doesn't have any of those. It's still got a really intense layout. That backwards vertical loop is one of my personal favorite elements. I gray out on that pretty much every time. The rest of the layout's fun too. This ride can be rough, but I personally don't mind. I think this is definitely an underrated coaster. And coming in at number 9 is another underrated Vekoma. This is Flight Deck. I've never hated the SLCs, even without the new restraints, and this one still is the old ones, and I think it's a perfectly fine ride. You get decent positive Gs, decent whip throughout the layout, especially towards the front. This is one of the rougher SLCs, so I see why some people don't like this, but I personally don't mind the roughness. I think it just adds character. This ride is a clone, but it's definitely an underrated clone in my opinion. Coming in at number 8 is Backlot Stunt Coaster. I skipped this one on my past visit. I really wish I could have ridden it, but I just didn't have enough time. But I rode Queen City Stunt Coaster earlier this year, so I don't feel too bad. This ride starts off with a really solid launch and then goes up into a pretty intense helix, especially for a ride this size. The rest of the first half kind of meanders around, throws you around a little bit, but not too much. And then the second half is pretty fun because, of course, you're in the dark for the first part of it. And then you jet out of the billboard, or I guess the empty building now, because they took away the theming there. And then you dive down, get a little airtime there. It's a fun finale to the ride. I think it's definitely a solid, underrated family coaster. Coming in at number 7 is Yukon Striker. This thing's definitely fun, but it's not particularly intense. The drop is definitely fun on this one, just like all the other dive coasters. You get some good floater airtime there, and it's really sustained. But the layout itself is somewhat intense, but it definitely could be more intense in my opinion. I know this was definitely built to be a GP pleaser, you can tell that. That's the same thing with all the other dive coasters. It's definitely not my style, but I could see why some people would rank this a lot higher. Coming in at number 6 is Mighty Canadian Mindbuster. Now, I was really hoping for this thing to crack my top 5, or maybe even top 3 in the park, but unfortunately, the airtime in the first half wasn't quite as strong as I was picturing. I've heard so many people say this is like good ejector now, and it's good floater, but it's definitely not in the ejector realm, even up front. I do think the front is the most extreme on this ride, especially for the ending helix, which is the best part of the ride. It's not the airtime, it's that helix at the end. You get decent laterals throughout that, and it's very rough, so you definitely get shaken up a good deal there. This ride in general is definitely a tale of two halves. The first half is extremely smooth, and then the second half absolutely beats you up, which is why I personally like the second half more. I know that's a very hot take, but that's just my style. Anyways, I was a little let down with this one, but coming in at number 5 is a ride that really impressed me, and this is Wildebeest. Yeah, this ride might be the roughest coaster I've ever been on, which is the main reason why it's amazing. I will say spots 5, 4, and 3 are really close, especially 4 and 3, but Wildebeest is sort of up there in that same realm. This ride's just great. You get a lot of really solid airtime pops, which are really augmented by the roughness. You're just shaking all around there, and then you get a nice flowjector pop. It's really good. The final turn is also really solid. You get strong laterals there. This ride absolutely feels like an earthquake. It's definitely not for everyone, but for someone like me who wants the most intense and even rough experience possible, this is definitely a really solid ride. Coming in at number 4 is Leviathan. This was a really tough decision, but I think it's gotta be 4. I think number 3 is just a little bit stronger. This ride's still solid. It's got a really good first drop, really sustained floater airtime there. The first turn's pretty intense. The speed hill's definitely the best part of the ride. I don't think it's quite as strong as like Orion's or Mako's speed hill, but it's definitely solid. There's a couple other decent floater airtime moments. The speed, of course, is really good. But the second half is really the reason why it can't get a higher rating. The first half is all great. definitely top 50 worthy stuff. But then the second half comes around and it's a monorail. I mean, I know some enthusiasts, including myself, like joke around, oh, that ride's basically a monorail. No, this second half, everything except that one airtime hill in the middle of it, basically just feels like an open air monorail. That's the best way to describe it. You're gently coasting along, you're not getting thrown side to side at all, you're not getting any airtime besides that one floater hill. Yeah, I really want to like this ride more, but that second half is just too vanilla for me, and even the first half is really smooth and graceful. It definitely has some more extreme moments, but it's definitely the weakest Giga in my opinion, and number 4 in the park. Coming in at number 3 is Vortex. This ride was definitely impressive. This ride is all about positive Gs. You get a few decent lateral moments, especially at the end there if you're towards the front, and you get a couple little airtime pops, but they're weak floater. But this ride is all about pummeling you with positive Gs. I was graying out and feeling the face pulls for pretty much every moment after that high turn after the first drop. This ride is excellent at sustained positive Gs. You get a really good sense of speed too, especially over the water. I really like the setting there. I will say the positives aren't necessarily the strongest I've experienced, but they are extremely sustained. Like, these might be the most sustained positives I've ever experienced. I was amazed at how long I was feeling the Gs for. And I know this is mainly in the back row. In the front, it's definitely not quite as intense. But if you can get the back row or towards the back, you are in for a really intense ride. Coming in at number 2 is Behemoth. This is now my second favorite B&M Hyper. This ride is really strong. Every hill in the first half gives strong floater airtime, especially in the back row. I think that's definitely the place to ride this thing. The first drop is one of the best, maybe the best on any B&M Hyper. All the hills are extremely sustained as well, but the main thing that impressed me was the second half. The positives on this Helix are extremely strong. I mean, I hard grade out on pretty much every ride, especially if I was towards the back or the front. In the middle, I grade out a little less, but it was still definitely intense. And then the rise up continues those positives, and then you get an ejector pop coming out of that turnaround, which is really surprising. I was not expecting any ejector on the ride, but especially if you're on the left side, you get an ejector pop there, and it's great. I knew this ride was going to be great for sustained airtime, but I did not expect it to be powerful, and I definitely didn't expect powerful positive Gs on this thing. But of course, nothing at this park, or really any other park except a select few, can hold a candle to the number 1 spot, which is Alpenfury. Besides its capacity, this ride is pretty much perfect. It's got the best launch on any currently operating coaster in my opinion. It's got maybe the best pacing of any coaster I've been on, and more importantly, it's the best coaster I've ever ridden for lateral ejector, and I quite frankly don't see how any other coaster could be better for lateral ejector. I mean, this thing is just one absurdly strong moment after another, no breaks in between, no time to breathe. If you've seen my review or a POV or really just anything about this ride, you already know how elite this thing is. This thing's gotta be a top 5 coaster ever built, and it's easily a top 3 coaster for me. So that is my top 10 coasters at Canada's Wonderland. Let me know what you guys thought of this video down in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.